New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, how are you, Robyn?
I'm
How's
okay.
everyone out there? Yeah, good.
How are you?
Yeah, just trying to feel grounded. It was trying to get my kids off to school in the morning is always feels like a bit of a challenge.
Well, yes, that I have heard that report from parents all over the world for at least 18 years. So 18 years of life. So I don't know that it changes. We
Clearly.
are Girls Behaving Metaphysically, and that is the school report of the day. I'll tell you, our teenager is now being homeschooled, and it's no easier getting him up and ready to go than it was when he was going out of the door. It's just a different location.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My daughters are 9 and 7, and like wake up means wrap in my blanket and don't move for the next 30 minutes. So
Well, I get that. I understand that. That's what I'd like wake up to mean every morning. I'm like, oh, both Gil and I are always like, can't we just go back to bed?
oh my goodness. Yeah.
So we
No.
are Girls Behaving Metaphysically. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes.
We are two girls on opposite sides of the world. So for me, it is Thursday afternoon at 3:00 Mountain Time, coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Natacha is.
I am in Australia. I am down under in Brisbane, where it is hot, 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 hot.
Hot, hot, hot. Kids are off to school early morning.
Yes,
So
yes.
part of our thing is to just embody that oneness that we are from across the pond and around the world and over the hill, wherever you are, just knowing that we are in this thing called life together and that we are girls behaving metaphysically amongst that. Oh, that was a tongue twister. There were a lot of S's hidden in there. Anyway, so today we are going to do our usual card pull of the week, which we do, which is our time to just see what the universe is trying to tell us and how we decipher that. And then after that, we are going to pick a potpourri of topics to talk about today. We are doing our improvisation last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of the month conversation, and we'll see where that takes us.
We will see.
Do you want to start us with a card pull?
Sure. Lately, I've been pulling from tarot because I'm trying to learn tarot a little bit more. So let's see. Six of Pentacles.
And what does that tell us?
So now pentacles in general, from my understanding, pentacles have to do with materiality. Pentacles have to do with money sometimes. I mean, it's actual, like the pentacles are in the shape of coins, but again, they usually have to do with materiality in our relationship to like wealth and money and abundance. But I want to just do a really, let you have a look at the image, see if anything comes up for you. But there's something I want to look up about it. Hang on a second.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to see that on my
Okay.
screen.
Yeah. Michael, if you can you do a quick Google search for Biddy Tarot, Biddy, and then 6 of Pentacles?
Well, while you're looking, why don't you tell a little bit about how you made that pull? Are you meditating on something when you pull that card?
Well, I was meditating on your birthday, and I was like, I want to pull a card that's going to give us some insight about Robyn today.
Okay.
And get you talking about your birthday. So I pulled a card that essentially is about abundance and usually wealth, but I'm not really sure what the 6 of Pentacles mean. Again, I said I'm just learning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime,
here we go.
I will tell you that yesterday was my birthday, and it was a pretty quiet birthday. I mean, I wasn't really full out in birthday mode. I don't seem to get in birthday mode until about 11:57 the night of my birthday, and then I'm like, oh, this was kind of fun. Why isn't it going on longer? So it was nice, though. I mean, it was calm, quiet. I had a class yesterday, a last class that we finished up, and then somebody in the room knew it was my birthday. Social media, there are no secrets anymore. So I was like all calm that I was quiet and I could just, get out of this class, but no. So then we had a little celebration of the class ending in my birthday, and then we went to a lovely dinner at one of those, kind of Benihana, hibachi barbecue places, and that was super fun. And then came home and played some games and hung out and went to bed. It was very quiet and it was okay. I did it was very pensive. I did a lot of thinking. Did that show up in that card?
Well, I finally had a look. So the 6 of Pentacles upright, which is how it came, means giving, receiving, sharing wealth, generosity, and charity. Oh, there it is. There it is right there. I studied this tarot system. There it is on the screen.
So what does all that mean?
It says, you may be like the wealthy man in this card, sharing your wealth and abundance with others. You have accumulated great wealth and are now in a position to offer financial assistance to those in need. Robyn, I didn't know. Okay. My hands are coming cupped. All right. You give generously through charitable donations, tithing, or fundraising, and enjoy the good feelings associated with helping others. Even if you are not financially wealthy, you offer up your time, energy, love, and support to those in need, knowing it will be appreciated. Giving your time or your wisdom is often just as spiritually fulfilling as giving away money or gifts. And the intangible gift of your presence is received just well, if not better.
Yeah, I would prefer that I could do it monetarily. But yeah, I get it. Nice. Nice. That's
Yeah.
very nice. That's very
Yeah.
nice. Interesting.
I think it's true though. I do find that you are giving of your wealth, not just monetarily, but the wealth, the wisdom of your soul. So
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, because I think that this year for me is a lot about giving back in a different way. I mean, like my title for the year was, this is going to be my best year ever. And in meditating on that and trying and living into that, like the things that have come up are generally, books for me to write, things for me to give, ways to give of myself, not necessarily, not necessarily like of doing service per se, but like writing books or creating things or doing workshops and things like that. So it kind of makes sense.
Okay. Cool.
Yay.
Cool. Yay.
Well, thanks for remembering my birthday. Very nice.
You're welcome. Yeah. Happy birthday, Robyn.
A carpool of the week for me.
Yes.
So anyone out there listening, just, I guess, open up and just see where how you can live into that in your life, be in that space of giving forth. I mean, I do think it is. I think we're all being asked to do that in some way. So.
Yeah. When I go into sessions with clients, I always pretty much start the session with the same question, and that is, what's on your heart this day? What's on your heart that needs our love and attention? And so I'm just going to broaden that question to everyone. Like, so we're still in February, month of love, Black History Month, all those things. So I'm just going to broaden that question to everyone. What is on your heart today that could use our love and attention?
I think that's perfect, because our theme for the month has been all things heart related. And so when we come back from our break, I think we'll just dive into some of those questions, like, what is on your heart, or, what does it really mean to live from the heart, or whatever questions we have around that, and see where that takes us.
Sounds good.
What we know is it's not defined to a month. Now is the time.
For sure.
Now is the time to live in your heart. So let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll jump right in and dance with our hearts. Okay, so everybody stay tuned and meet us right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life that's free, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, welcome back. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted, and I am here with my partner, Dr. Natacha Wilson, who will be back momentarily and fill that very chair that you're looking at. So what we're doing today is talking about our heart, things of the heart, healing our heart, all of those things. And one of the topics, hello, welcome back.
Sorry, guys.
One of the topics that we've thrown around is like heart-centered living and different aspects of that. So I think today we're just gonna talk about a few of those things that you're gonna find coming up in other podcasts and as we go along. But because I was thinking about forgiveness, and we haven't talked a lot about forgiveness yet, really, on this show. And God knows there's a lot to talk about. I think forgiveness is something that we continue to learn on our journey, you know. And but I was thinking about the healing heart, and so the question that came up for me really is, how does forgiveness play a role in healing a heart? And just how does that show up for you? And I'm just feeling we can go back and forth with a few questions and answers and see where it takes us.
Yeah. It's interesting because I find forgiveness is one that a lot of folks that I work with, they really struggle with. It was also one that I really struggled with because I remember thinking that forgiveness was about absolving the harmful or hurtful behavior of other people, right? Making it okay what they did. And so for me, that's always where I got stuck with forgiveness. And I find it happens also with people that I work with now, that's also where they get stuck with forgiveness. So my definition of forgiveness has just changed quite radically over the years. And I just feel like the way that I engage forgiveness integrates with what I think about life. Like for me, forgiveness is about being free. Forgiveness is about being free for me. And I think my two top, like if I had two top spiritual principles, I think they're peace and forgiveness, probably. Yeah.
You know, I mean, for me, in thinking about forgiveness, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, because so much of what we learn in our studies as we go along, or especially on the metaphysical track, are about concepts. And I was thinking, how did I really learn about forgiveness as a child? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can really pinpoint a teaching or a real teaching as much as, you know, like I think what you just touched on. I mean, for me, when we're kids, it's like, okay, you know, you've got to forgive so-and-so. So you let them so-and-so know, okay, all right, you're forgiven. I'm your friend. I'll be your friend still, you know, but we don't, as children anyway, I didn't go to that place. I mean, I guess we don't always have the capacity, but I mean, I'm not sure at what point you really learn about forgiveness and letting it go, as opposed to just saying something's okay when it may not be.
Yeah. I think that, you know, that letting it go piece is a lot of how I, like, yeah, no one ever sat down and talked to me as a child about what forgiveness was, but letting it go was always, it always seems like it was a part of the equation somehow. Like, you have to let that go. You have to let that go. Yeah, I don't know. I feel differently about it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, so what role do you think that takes in, you know, in healing a heart? I think, because obviously as one of your core principles, and I think it is a core principle. Like, how do we begin to really embody that and not just be, I don't know, all I can think of right now is not just be giving it lip service in some way.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, honestly, for me, it comes back to freedom. And I can't love without freedom. I can't really say that I love anyone, anything, if I am not willing to engage with freedom. If I'm not, I'm thinking about that poem by Maya Angelou, where she says, I'm butchering it, but basically it's, you know, if I love you, I free you. If I love you, I let you go. I love you. I can, you know, I can love you. I love you. I want you here, but you have to be in London. Like, loving means also granting freedom, but freedom for self as well. So for me, I don't know, love and freedom go hand in hand. It's how I know that love is present, is if I'm free. And when I think about when I first engaged with new thought, as a sort of spiritual relearning in so many ways, and practice and foundation, one of the things that I fell in love with was how free this concept of the divine felt in my body. Because prior to that, my concept of God was this very, first of all, it was this anthropomorphized being who kind of looked over and judged everything. And, you know, there's no freedom in that. And so I remember the sense of freedom I felt. And I remember, like, wow, this is love. This is God. Like, it all came together to me, like my experience of the divine in a new way. In terms, and when I say that, I mean in terms of how I was raised with the concept of God, and then this concept that I started to feel and embody and know in new thought. It came with freedom, and that's what I remember. To me, God for a long time was just love and freedom. Love and freedom is God, and then eventually peace and all this other stuff. But like, that's how it came to me. Was this deep freeing and love.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. And I think, I don't know, I'm generalizing, but I think that may happen a lot in this teaching and in teachings like this, because I think you get to a point in your growth where, yeah, you are liberated by, like, the moment when it finally clicks or sets in, and you go, this piece of the puzzle goes here, and when I put it there, look at it, I'm free. I feel happy. I feel, joyous. I feel enlightened. Whatever it is you feel. Yeah, and so I think that's very true. I think that's very true.
So when I think about forgiveness, like, to go back to the other thing, like, so when I think about forgiveness, I think when forgiveness for me comes through that that, I don't know how to, that interspace that I experience God, right, as love and freedom. I always find that if I want to embody the freedom, then I must forgive. And when I say I forgive, I must not let whatever has happened to me, whatever situation or person, whatever they did or didn't do, whatever, like, I desire to be free. And I notice, like, when I'm holding on to something, or I'm gripping it, or it's, like I'm wanting something, as a result of something that someone has done or a situation, then I'm not free.
Right.
And I like being free. So I have to give it over. So that is how I think about freedom, right? So that I can go back to being in love. I hand it over. I give it forth.
Right.
Doesn't mean that I'm going to be your friend afterward. It just means I'm going to be free.
Yeah. And I think so much of the time, it's not even about anyone out there. It's about yourself, right?
Always. It always comes back to self. Yeah, for sure.
So is there any technique or formula that specifically that you use or you put yourself through, or to get to that place of being able to forgive? And this is a great question for anybody out there. If there's something specific you do, because I think the first step always is becoming aware of your feelings and acknowledging your feelings. Like I'll tell you, I'll be super honest that, yesterday during my birthday after my class, I had already resigned myself to the fact that we probably weren't doing anything because nobody talked to me about my birthday or whatever. And when I got out of my class, my husband and my godson were like, okay, we're taking you on an adventure. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I'm not going on an adventure. You tell me about an adventure before that. If you'd really wanted to go on an adventure, you would have asked me. I was like, Robyn, stop. Just listen to it. Listen to what's happening. You listen to the chatter that has absolutely nothing to do with whatever they did. And even if they didn't, so what that they haven't had the plan for a week? They have a plan. Why isn't that good enough?
Yeah.
But like just being aware, and opening up, acknowledging my feelings. And I didn't want to make a thing out of it. I didn't want to do anything, but I wanted to know that I could be there and participate authentically and not have going on in my head, And so it must have been really weird for them, because they'd ask me a question and I'd go, and I'd have a whole conversation with myself. And then I'd go, yeah, that sounds good. But there was this delay where I was like, Robyn, if you can't do it, go home. Just say, no, not tonight. Since I didn't know, I'm not hungry. I'm not this, I'm not that. And I want to be able to be with you and enjoy it, which I did say to them, because I wasn't hungry because we'd had a celebration at class. But I was like, if you can't be there authentically, and I really had to clear with myself in a way that I haven't really done all the time. Which really for me was staying awakened to my thoughts and admitting them. And I didn't like them. I was like, why can't you just be grateful? Why do you want more? Why did it have to be that, they had created a grand plan for, so it was like, it was interesting. So, I mean, for me, I know that taking a breath really, and just being honest with myself is what allows me to go to the next step, and just acknowledging, really acknowledging what I was feeling, as opposed to, because generally the conversation would have been with me, why you don't, that's stupid. You shouldn't feel like that,
Yeah.
And then I would have gone on because I shouldn't, and it's like, shouldn't, it didn't matter. It was the truth of what was happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So is there anything specific that you do or?
So I'm a very, how do I say this? I own my emotions. Like I feel them, and I feel emotions very deeply. And so when I'm in a place where I am feeling wronged, right? Because that's when forgiveness stuff kinds of comes up for me.
Mhm.
It literally, because everything about me is very sensory, like it's very sensory. So when I feel like I'm holding a grudge or I'm holding unforgiveness or whatever, I literally feel like I'm lassoed in. It has a sensory feeling. And so I tend to notice first that I'm irritated. So like it's acknowledging the irritation because I'm feeling a sensory thing that's not a physical thing, if that makes sense. Like I feel lassoed, which, or, sort of like roped in, but there's no rope. The rope is in my head, right? The rope is the stories that are playing over and over in my head, but I sense it first as a feeling. And then because I don't like to feel irritated or lassoed in, I start to like, well, what am I thinking or believing right now? And then I'll find I'm thinking or believing something that is either blaming someone, but no matter what the thought is, it's some thought that leads to me feeling unfree. So usually for me, it starts with that sensory feeling, that irritation, and then questioning, why am I irritated? What is happening? And then sort of backtracking. And it's from there that I'm able to connect with the thought. So that's usually how it happens for me. So yeah, I'm simple in that way, in that I usually go straight to what I'm literally sensing. And I sense like I'm bound or something. And then I get irritated because I don't like that feeling. And then I question my thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I have to think this thought right now? Is this thought a reflection of reality? How do I want to feel? Do I want to feel roped in? No, I want to feel free. What do I have to do to feel free? Okay, I need to go talk to this person because I'm feeling wronged about something that they done or said. So I need to have a conversation. If it's possible to have a conversation. And if it's not possible to have a conversation, I just start to ask myself, what do I need to do to feel free? And that's the conversation that usually leads me back to forgiveness. And all of that entire conversation is happening all in my head.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's really amazing how much of it happens within us, at least for me. I mean, it just, how much of it happens within us before we even get to the part where it's between somebody else. So I'm gonna flip the switch on this one. So because what's coming up for me while we're talking about this is, we've talked a lot about everything going on in the world and in the United States, especially after election. And I was thinking as you were saying this about forgiveness and the bigger forgiveness, because I look at the world right now and I go, I don't even know where I'd start with forgiveness. But I mean, I just look at everything going on and I was thinking about, this is now just a point of inquiry. It's not all related to forgiveness. I was thinking about all the things that are going on here and like tomorrow is a big blackout day here where nobody's supposed to shop Amazon or go out and spend money on anything that makes a difference to all these big companies. And there's so many different kinds of protests and things going on. And I was wondering, since we are on opposite sides of the world, is what's going on there? Is anyone talking about any of that? Or is there, I don't know, is there any what is the connection in Australia to our craziness here?
Well, we don't have blackout day planned that I know of. However, let me just say this. My very best friend, who's like a sister to me, lives in the United States. And it's all going to connect. Just hang in there with me for just a second. I reached out to her because we're also colleagues. And so I had a question to ask of her, and I had to get in touch with the clerk of court in the state where I used to live for something that I need to sort of be finalized and dealt with. And the response from the clerk at the court was just so like, whatever, you do it or you don't, whatever. It was like, but this is like kind of like a legal issue, right? And she was like, And normally, like, whenever I've needed to interface with the legal system, it's just, it's very bureaucratic, very like this, it's this or it's that, it's black or it's white. There's no like gray area. And she was just like, get it done. And so I called my friend, I was like, girl, what is happening in Maine? And then she told me something about the president had got into an argument with our governor in Maine, and it was public. And I was like, what? Because my experience of Maine is like, people are really laid back and really polite. Like, they don't care if you don't iron your clothes in Maine, right? Like in New Orleans, if you go out wrinkled, people gonna talk about you. So like, but like, Maine is very laid back. And I'm like, but not that laid back, And so anyways, she kind of filled me in on so many things that I didn't realize was going on, because I have the benefits, I think, to kind of bury my head in the sand a little bit, although whatever happens in America has ramifications for the whole world. And when she told me, I kind of freaked out a little bit because I had no idea so much was going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was like at least 20 things that are happening simultaneously. And I get overwhelmed of like more than three. I have to count it more than 3 fingers. So saying that to say, I actually reached out to my friend today, and I asked her to please forgive me, because I had this really visceral emotional reaction when she was starting to fill me in on things. And I just thought, wow, that is not fair. I've had my head plugged in the sand, not on purpose. I have a busy life. I'm raising 2 kids, by myself, basically. And yeah, I can't keep up with everything that's going on. But I was like, I'm sure my friend didn't need me freaking out, right? And so what she told me was, there's nothing to forgive. And then she said, what did she say? Don't gaslight yourself.
Yeah.
A lot is happening, but there's nothing to forgive. Yeah. So, no, we are not, for the most part, in Australia that I know of, participating in the not purchasing anything tomorrow, which would be today, because today is Friday here. But I imagine many of us would love to be in solidarity with that.
Yeah, it is, everything going on is a little crazy. And, we've given out the number to call your congressperson or your senator and let them know your thoughts. And I don't know, I feel like we're on such a fast moving train, and which is exactly what they would like us to feel like. Mm-hmm. And, I actually looked at a Facebook post today, which I'm not sure that's the way to go. I was off Facebook for a couple of years, and I really didn't miss it. And now when I go there, I'm like, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. But it was interesting because it was somebody yelling about, a man had posted, WTF world, my daughter was fired from a job and she's not even black. I was like, oh no, oh no. And the guy wrote this thing saying, what the hell? I voted for Trump and I voted for Trump 3 times and he's this and he's that. And, the wonders of Trump. And, my daughter does a good job doing her job and she's not black and this shouldn't have happened. I was like, wow, okay. Watching it all happen, I don't know, and then, yeah, like I said, there's numerous things happening. There are people like, get your stuff today, don't buy this. And then things like, like we're not supposed to go to, we're not supposed to shop at Amazon. We're not supposed to go to Target, all of these things and lists of the best DEI companies. And God, thank God Costco's on it. I'm like, and then I feel guilty. I'm like, no, Amazon. Okay. I better order now because then I can never do it again. And then I'm like, Robyn, why are you going to order now if you can't do it tomorrow? It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just, there's so many things happening and in our heads. And like, how do you,
Yeah. When I called the court yesterday, I was just like, okay, I need boots on the ground. I need to know what is happening. Yeah. So going back to forgiveness, what do you think we're looking at here with regards to the concept of forgiveness?
That's a great question. Because I feel like it is, for me, I'm not even sure. I don't know. I don't even, for me, the concept feels big. Like, I'm not even sure where to start. It's like, I feel like I just need to keep, my side of the street clean to be able to go into other situations. And I think, I admire and I am grateful and I think it's great, all the people that are anchored enough to be able to pray for everybody, pray for the other side, see it as a, as a journey in prayer, and I do that as well. And it's not always clean and clear like that because sometimes I'm angry, sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm just in horror most of the time.
Did you say horror?
Yeah, horror and disbelief and, that anybody could treat, that this could be happening in the way it's happening and that people could be treated the way they're being treated, and not, it brings me to that place of, when they say, oh, history repeats itself and everything repeats, we just living in this loop, everything repeats itself. I'm like, wow, it's kind of true. Here we go again with things that we feel like we've lived through already on some level. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember when I was doing my doctoral field work, and one of the people that I interviewed, he when he was younger, he was like in the Black Panther Party, and now, he's since passed away since me working with him and interviewing him in Boston. But he was doing restorative justice work in the school system when I knew him. And I remember in one of our interviews, it got really deep, and he said to me, because he was a recovering addict, and he said that the emotional signature of the United States is denial. And I remember being like, wow. And he really broke that down, and he put it in the context of addiction and how there's a willful ignorance, which becomes a necessity for people to make sense of their lives in late stage capitalism. And I mean, I don't want to get into like a deep political conversation, but I think the spiritual is political. That's why all of our major political leaders all come out of religion or spirituality, from Malcolm X with Islam to Dr. King with radical Christianity to Gandhi. So like most of Thich Nhat Hanh, they're mostly religious or spiritual practitioners who become the leaders of a lot of our political movements for freedom. So there we go. So when he said to me that the emotional signature of the US is denial, it made a lot of sense to me. And he said, just like anyone dealing with addiction, eventually you got to come home to look at what's happening. You got to come home to yourself. And I think we have these ideals about who we want to be as the United States, but those ideals require practice. Those ideals require going to emotionally scary places that people just rather not go there. We'll numb it away, drink it away, pray it away, anything. But in order to really do the kind of healing so that we get out of this loop, requires that we sit with and learn how to feel really, really hard feelings. To say feelings, and that, that's the one thing they don't teach you in school. We don't teach emotional intelligence.
Right.
And so then we have people making decisions about the world who don't have any emotional intelligence, but they have a lot of power. And so again, I just remember him saying, like, the only way to break out of the loop that we're on is to wake up. And waking up means feeling super uncomfortable feelings, and maybe even feeling that for a while. I pulled another card, by the way, and it says practice daily. And I was just thinking about, what if we practice forgiveness daily? What if we practice freedom daily? What if we practice our own power daily? And I wonder what kind of choices we'd be sitting with if we turn these spiritual principles into practices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the whole point of practicing, right? Is like, really, it's not a practice makes perfect thing. It's a perfect is the way we want to live on some level. And I don't mean that in the perfection sense. I mean it like we want to live in that loop of practicing the principles and practicing the things that lead us to a better life that appears quote unquote perfectly imperfect. I know I see that John's put a few comments in the chat that we might want to read. I can't read them on my screen.
Oh, okay. It says, joining in, much love, happy birthday, Robyn. And then there is righteous, appropriate anger, Rosa Parks and MLK. I guess I was saying that Jesus closed the money, out of the temple, chased the money out of the temple. And I agree with him on the denial of the US. I was talking about my client. And then it says, Dr. Natacha, you are nailing it. Yeah. Thank you, John. Thank you. I think that's just it. I think the thing that made these people a threat to capitalism ultimately was that they were willing to take their practice off the mat, So if I'm going to practice love is, there's no love without justice. So if I'm going to practice my light in the world, it's not going to feel comfortable. Facing racism and white supremacy doesn't feel comfortable. Facing sexism, it doesn't feel comfortable. None of this stuff is comfortable. And now I think we're seeing what happens when we don't have I don't know. I think people with a lot of power who want to not feel feelings. I mean, doesn't matter. What's the guy who's now the guy over the military who's an alcoholic?
Mm.
I mean, it's like in our faces now, right? It's just in our faces.
So can we, and so can we practice that? Can we practice, being the principles, in the face of seeing things that appear to be absolutely wrong in this world where there is no right and wrong? Like,
What's the question?
Can we practice, being that love, or how do we practice being that love and, staying out of judgment, I guess, on some level? That in this world with seeing the injustices and things that are going on, like how do you keep from making it personal? Does that make sense?
I think, but I guess what I realize is that it is personal. Like, there's this old feminist saying, the personal is political and the political is personal. And it is personal. Like, yeah, it's not happening. Things aren't necessarily, no one from ICE is at my front door. But it is personal. And I think that's what Dr. King, and if we want to look at the life of Jesus, that's what they taught us. Like, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Right.
And so I think for me, it's not about judgment. It's about tapping into the wisdom of discernment to know where I put my energy during this time where we're getting an opportunity to break free from that loop.
Right.
That's what I see this is. I see it as an opportunity to get off of the historical loop, but we won't get off of it without practice, without feeling uncomfortable, scary feelings, Right. I think I told you right now, I have so many people, at my practice, I have them reading Universal Human, because really it is about how we practice authentic power, which is what we all have. But when we don't know how to practice authentic power, other people can sort of siphon our energy for the worry, for the fear, for the anxiety, as opposed to us calling our internal power present for this moment that we're living in, this time we're living in. So I think for me, it is about accepting that it's personal, because that's what happened when I called the clerk to court yesterday. This is personal.
Well, it's personal, but it's a different kind of personal, in my opinion. It's yes, I totally agree with everything you're saying, and I feel like it's personal in that it's really about justice and equitability, in that, in all of us, in us letting go of the idea that anyone deserves anything more than anyone else. And it's personal for anyone to be treated that way, treated the way that people are being treated, or have those, have, it's tricky, have that injustice, in their lives.
I think, that statement that I think people are trying to do collectively by not purchasing anything on your tomorrow, and I'll do it in solidarity. I won't purchase anything today because it's already Friday here. Oh, I already purchased my daughter's lunch. Okay, whatever. Okay. What? I won't spend any more. But what I'm saying is, it may not be interpersonal yet, but it is personal.
Right.
And I think what people are trying to do with this collective stance against or to not purchase is a collective stance against late stage capitalism, because literally one person can end poverty in the entire world. His name is Elon Musk. Like literally, he has enough money to end poverty for everybody on the planet. That is some crazy inequity, some crazy inequality. And I think that's where we are at this point, where I think we must forgive ourselves for being a part of, even in small ways, of creating a system where that can even be possible. That one person, one human being who is a very unwell human being, talk about needing therapy, can end poverty for the whole world. And that is not that, like, when I saw that, that is incredible. Yes, they are.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And so this time has flown by, but really taking us back to forgiveness. I think, if we're each a microcosm of the macrocosm, it's really about where we begin our practice and where we do our work and how we do our work, and staying focused and not letting anyone deter you from your truth. Because we're going to read and we're going to hear and we're going to have people tell us along the way that it's not a big deal, you're overreacting, that will never happen, this will that, blah, blah, blah. And that's not true. That is the road to, dictatorship and fascism and all of those things, is by letting go of our feelings, our thoughts, and thinking, okay, it's okay. It won't happen like that. It's staying true to what is important.
Yeah.
And continuing to forgive.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave people with this card. Practice daily. But the practice that I'm gonna ask people to practice is to practice peace, to practice truth telling, to practice freedom, and to practice forgiveness, and to see where that lands you when we take these spiritual principles and turn them into a daily practice. As Thich Nhat Hanh would say, our practice off the mat is the practice. It's easy to sit and meditate when, I'm in my little garden with my plants and my waterfall and all my stuff. I don't have a waterfall, but whatever. The real work is what I do when I carry that practice off the mat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Take this week and take your practice off the mat. Stand in the love, y'all, and the truth. And join us next week. And perhaps we'll have a cheerier topic, but all roads lead to one. So, were you going to say something?
No, all roads lead to love, and that's fine.
Yep. So love each other, everybody. And we will see you next week. Thank you to our producer, Michael Mangus, who has a fabulous show on Friday nights. Join him for Fireside Chats tomorrow if you are in the United States, and on Saturday if you are outside of the United States. Check our local listings here at New Thought Media Network. And just keep standing in your truth. We love you. See you next week.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say real quick, just to take us out. So there's this radio station that I used to listen to growing up in the United States, FM 98. Okay, that was like the soul and rhythm station or whatever. That's probably not what it's called. But at nighttime there was a show, and the guy would say at the end of his show, love is the answer. Who cares what the question is? Nighty night.
There you go.
I used to love it.
Perfect. There you go. Love is the answer, everybody. Live in that.
Who cares what the question is? Nighty night.
See you next week. Bye.
Love. Bye.